I added my boss, Ava Sterling, the one who verbally flayed me on a daily basis, using a burner account. After 3 months of an online-only romance, I decided to break up with her. I'm sorry. I typed, my heart pounding. I can't get over my ex. She's back in my life. Her reply was instant. Which ex? What's her name? Is she prettier than me? Does she have more money? A bitter smile touched my lips as I typed back. She doesn't have your money, but she... The other end went silent. 10 minutes later, the door to my office swung open. Ava Sterling stood there, arms crossed, stilettos adding a good 4 inches to her already intimidating height. Her face was a frozen mask. Leo Carter, your ex-girlfriend. What's her name? Her voice was dangerously quiet. Tell me, now. I stared at the rapid-fire questions from Ava, blowing up my phone, my palms starting to sweat. Talk to me. Playing dead. You have 3 seconds. 1, 2. My fingers flew across the screen. Ms. Sterling, please don't joke around. A guy like me would never dream of getting involved with you online. I regretted it the second I hit send. That was basically a confession, wasn't it? Sure enough, a single, chilling, laughing emoji popped up in the chat. Leo Carter, you got a lot of nerve. Using a personal account to message your boss during work hours. And pulling a stunt like this. You must not have enough work to do. I stared at the screen, a cold dread creeping up my spine. There goes my bonus for the quarter. Worse, I could be looking at a formal write-up. Just as I was trying to figure out how to salvage the situation, another message came through. You're working late tonight. Redo the entire project proposal I gave you last week. You're not leaving until it's done. I read the message, and 1,000 F-bombs went off in my head. That proposal was over 50 pages long, and she'd already rejected it 3 times. Tonight was going to be an all-nighter. I took a deep breath and resignedly opened the file on my computer. Mark from the next cubicle leaned over. What's up, Leo? You look like you've seen a ghost. I managed a smile that felt more like a grimace. Nothing. Ms. Sterling wants me to work late. Mark patted my shoulder sympathetically. Hang in there, man. The Dragon Lady is on a rampage today. She's already made 3 people cry this morning. I thought to myself, of course she is. She just got dumped by me online. The me who dumped her was just my burner account, but Ava didn't know that. All she knew was that her world was on fire, and I was the poor schmuck standing in the line of fire. By 9 o'clock, I was the only person left in the office. My eyes were burning from staring at the monitor. Ava's standards for the proposal were insane. Every single detail had to be flawless. This was my 7th revision, and I still felt it wasn't good enough. My phone buzzed. A message from Ava. Is it done? I glanced at the time. 9:05 p.m. Was she that eager to get rid of me for the night? I texted back. Almost finished, Ms. Sterling. Email it to me. Now. I stared at the cold, demanding text, a surge of anger tightening my chest. But I couldn't afford to lash out. I needed this job. My mom's medical bills, my brother's college tuition, they all depended on my paycheck. I took a deep breath, attached the file to an email, and hit send. Then I started packing my things, ready to finally go home. My phone rang again. It was Ava. Come back. There's a problem with the proposal. I stared at the words, nearly throwing my phone against the wall. But I dutifully sat back down and opened my email. Ava's reply was a single sentence. Page 37. The data is wrong. Fix it. I flipped to page 37. It was a small data table. I checked it 3 times against the source files. There was nothing wrong with it. She was doing this on purpose. Clenching my jaw, I replied to the email, Ms. Sterling, I've double-checked the data. It appears to be correct. Her response was instantaneous. I say it's wrong, so it's wrong. Fix it, or you can quit. I stared at that last line, my hand gripping the mouse so hard my knuckles turned white. I could picture her expression perfectly, cold, arrogant, with a hint of a sneer, just like when she usually tore into me. Leo, is your head filled with cement? How could you make such a rookie mistake? I seriously questioned the judgment of whoever hired you. Her words were like needles, piercing my pride, but I could never talk back. I could only lower my head and say, I'm sorry, Ms. Sterling. I'll fix it right away. Just like now, I could only type back. Yes, Ms. Sterling. Redoing it now. It was nearly 11 when I finished changing the data. I sent off the new version and then, cautiously, texted her, Ms. Sterling, may I leave now? This time, she didn't reply immediately. I waited for 10 minutes. My phone remained silent. I sent a tentative follow-up. Ms. Sterling? Still nothing. I figured she'd probably gone to take a shower, or maybe even gone to bed. An executive at her level didn't need to stay up babysitting an underling like me. I packed my bag, turned off the lights, and left the office. When I got downstairs, I realized it was raining. I didn't have an umbrella, so I stood under the building's awning, waiting for it to let up. The night wind was cold and damp. I pulled out my phone and, out of habit, tapped on that familiar profile picture. It was my burner account, the one I'd made specifically to connect with Ava. 3 months ago, she had publicly humiliated me in a meeting so badly that I'd almost quit on the spot. That night, on a whim, I created a new account, used a stock photo of some handsome model as my profile pic, and sent her a friend request. I never thought she'd accept, but she did. And then, as we started talking, things got out of control. She seemed to really fall for my online persona. Gentle, thoughtful, with a bit of dry wit. The complete opposite of the timid, approval-seeking person I was in real life. I'd only meant it as a small act of revenge, a way to feel a little less powerless. I never imagined it would go this far. And now, it all blown up in my face. Just as I was lost in thought, a black Porsche pulled up in front of me. The window rolled down, revealing Ava's face. She wore light makeup and a simple white blouse, looking softer than she did during the day. But her eyes were still cold. "Get in," she said. I froze. "Ms. Sterling, it's raining. I'll give you a ride." I was stunned and quickly waved my hands. "Oh no, Ms. Sterling, that's okay. I could just get an Uber." She gave me a flat look. "It's on my way." That's when I remembered. We lived in the same general direction. After a team event last month where we'd all had a few drinks, she'd had her assistant arrange rides home, and my apartment was only a couple of blocks from her high-rise. After a moment's hesitation, I pulled open the passenger door and slid in. The car smelled of her perfume, a light, elegant scent that was just like her. I was so tense, I didn't know where to put my hands. Ava didn't speak, concentrating on driving. The windshield wipers swished back and forth, smearing the city's neon lights into a blur. I stole a glance at her. She really was beautiful. Pale skin, a sharp nose, and thin lips pressed into a firm line. I'd heard rumors that the number of guys trying to ask her out could wrap around the block, but she wasn't interested in any of them. It made sense. Why would a powerhouse like her ever look twice at a normal guy? I was staring when she suddenly spoke. "Is a proposal fixed?" I snapped to attention. "Yes, it's fixed. Pay more attention next time. Don't make such basic errors." "Yes, Ms. Sterling." Another heavy silence fell. I racked my brain for something to say, but came up blank. I was always on edge around her. After all, she was my boss. And as of tonight, the boss I'd just dumped online. When she pulled up to my apartment building, I thanked her and got out. But she called my name. "Leo." I turned back. "Yes, Ms. Sterling." She looked at me, her expression unreadable. "Your ex-girlfriend," she began slowly. "Is she really better than me?" I stood there in the rain, sure I had misheard her. Ava just looked at me, her face completely serious. This wasn't a joke. Rain soaked my hair, but I didn't feel the cold. All I felt was my heart hammering against my ribs, blood rushing to my head. Why was she asking me this? Did she suspect something? Or had she actually developed feelings for my online persona? Impossible. A woman like Ava Sterling wouldn't fall for a fake profile. She had to be testing me. I forced myself to stay calm, plastering an awkward smile on my face. "Ms. Sterling, you have a great sense of humor." Ava didn't smile back. Her gaze was sharp enough to cut glass. "Do I look like I have time to be joking with you?" The question hung in the air. I had no idea how to respond. The rain was coming down harder now, and I was completely soaked, a pathetic, dripping mess. Ava, however, sat perfectly dry and composed in her luxury car, looking down on me. There was always this chasm between us. "Get in," she said again. I numbly pulled the door open and got back inside. The heat was on full blast, and the sudden change in temperature made me sneeze. Ava handed me a pack of tissues without a word. "Dry yourself off." I took them, mumbling my thanks. She didn't speak, just watched me as I clumsily tried to dry my hair. The silence was suffocating. I decided to take the initiative. "Ms. Sterling, about that question you asked earlier. What did you mean?" Ava raised an eyebrow. It meant exactly what it sounded like. I don't understand. You said you couldn't forget your ex, and that's why you had to break up with me. Correct. My heart skipped a beat. She was definitely connecting the dots between my online persona and my real life. But I couldn't admit it. I would deny it to my grave. Ms. Sterling, I think there's been a misunderstanding, I said, playing dumb. What breakup? Who did I break up with? Ava smiled. A cold, humorless smile. Leo, you're a better actor than I thought. But I don't have time for your games. She took out her phone and pulled up a familiar profile. It was my burner account's Instagram. It was filled with pictures and posts for me, all stock photos I'd pulled from the internet. This account, she asked, her voice dangerously low. It's yours, isn't it? I looked at her, my heart about to beat out of my chest. How did she know? I've been so careful. Ms. Sterling, I don't know what you're talking about. I insisted, my voice weak. Ava turned the phone screen toward me. On it was a picture my burner account had posted yesterday. A photo of a coffee mug with the caption, "The glamorous life of a corporate drone." The mug was the exact same one sitting on my desk. I'd snapped a quick picture of it that morning, forgetting to block her from seeing my story. Damn it. How could I make such a rookie mistake? Do you understand now? Ava asked, putting her phone away, a mocking smile playing on her lips. I opened my mouth to say something, but my mind was a complete blank. It was over. It was all over. She knew everything. Ms. Sterling, I wanted to explain, but I couldn't find the words. What could I say? That I made a fake account because you berated me in front of the entire department and I wanted some petty revenge? That I started the online relationship because it was amusing? That I broke up with you because the lie had gotten too big and I wanted out? Any of those reasons would get me fired on the spot. Ava didn't press me. She just watched me quietly, like a cat watching a cornered mouse. The rain hammered against the car roof. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Why, she finally asked. Her voice was soft, but it echoed in the silent car. I looked down at my hands, digging my nails into my palms. I'm sorry, Ms. Sterling. I shouldn't have deceived you. I didn't mean any harm. I just what? I couldn't say it. I just wanted to get back at you? Ava waited, but I didn't finish my sentence. She let out a short, bitter laugh. You know, Leo, she said, her voice turning hard as steel. There are two things I hate most in this world. Being lied to and being betrayed. You managed to do both. My head snapped up and my eyes met hers. There was no anger in them, no disappointment. Just an icy, profound calm. That was far more terrifying than if she had screamed at me. Ms. Sterling, I can explain. Don't bother. She cut me off, starting the engine. Get out. I froze. Now. What did you expect? She said, not even looking at me. An invitation to stay for a nightcap? I looked at her cold, rigid profile and knew it was useless to say anything more. I silently pushed the door open and stepped back into the rain. The door slammed shut behind me, and the Porsche sped away, its red taillights disappearing into the night. Rain streamed down my face. I couldn't tell if it was rain or tears. I stood on the empty street corner, feeling like the world's biggest idiot. Why did I ever think it was a good idea to mess with her? Now my job was probably gone, and my reputation along with it. I started the heavy walk home. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out. It was a message from Ava, but it wasn't sent to my real number. It was sent to my burner account. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Aura, Private Suite 308. We're meeting to talk. If you don't show up, you'll regret it. I didn't sleep at all that night. Ava's final words echoed in my head. You'll regret it. What was she going to do to me? Fire me? Blacklist me from the industry? Something worse? My imagination ran wild. The next morning, I walked to work with a knot of dread in my stomach. But Ava wasn't there. Her assistant said she was in an off-site meeting and wouldn't be in the office all day. I felt a wave of relief, followed by a surge of anxiety. Was she planning something big? The entire day was a blur of paranoia. I could barely focus on my work. That afternoon, I got a new friend request on my personal messaging app. The profile picture was a cartoon character, and the name was just Chloe. The request message read, "Please accept. Need to talk to you about something." I figured it was a client and accepted. A message came through almost immediately. Is this Leo Carter? This is Ava Sterling's sister, Chloe. My hand trembled, and I almost dropped my phone. Ava's sister? Why was she contacting me? Did Ava tell her sister everything? I tried to compose myself and typed back. Hello. How can I help you? Chloe sent a smiley face. My sister asked me to contact you. She said there's been a bit of a misunderstanding between you two, and she'd like to meet tomorrow night to talk things over. My stomach clenched. So this was it. But why was her sister the one reaching out? Where are we meeting? I asked. Aura, Private Suite 308, 7 p.m. The exact same time and place Ava had sent to my burner account. So, she intended to meet me as her real self. But who was I supposed to show up as? Myself, or the online boyfriend? As I was wrestling with this, another message came from Chloe. I know my sister can be a little intense, but she's not a bad person. Just talk it out with her. Please don't fight. I stared at the message, feeling even more confused. What was Ava playing at? First, she threatens me as my boss, and now she's sending her sister as a peace envoy? Good cop, bad cop. That didn't seem like her style. Okay, I'll be there. I typed back. Great. I'll be there too. The three of us can have a nice chat. I froze. She was going to be there too? What was this? A 2-on-1 takedown? I had no idea what Ava was planning. The next evening, I arrived at Aura on time. It was one of the most exclusive private clubs in the city, the kind of place I'd only ever seen in movies. The hostess led me to Suite 308. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The suite was enormous and lavishly decorated. Ava was sitting on a plush sofa, wearing a sleek black dress, her makeup perfect. Next to her sat a younger woman, probably in her early 20s, who must have been Chloe. She looked a bit like Ava, but had a much brighter, more energetic vibe. Seeing me, Chloe immediately stood up, a brilliant smile on her face. You must be Leo. I'm Chloe. I nodded, feeling awkward. Hi. Ava didn't get up. She simply tilted her head and looked at me, her expression as cool as ever. Sit. I sat on the sofa opposite them, not knowing what to do with my hands. A server came in and asked what I'd like to drink. I said anything was fine. Ava told the server, bring him the same thing I'm having. The server nodded and left. The three of us were alone in the room, and the silence was thick with tension. Chloe, seeming to want to break the ice, smiled at me. My sister talks about you a lot. She says you're a really hard worker. I froze and looked at Ava. She talked about me? Unlikely. She barely even looked at me at the office. Ava said nothing, just took a delicate sip of her drink. Chloe continued. Actually, the reason my sister asked you here tonight is because she needs a favor. I was more confused than ever. A favor? From me? What kind of favor? I asked. Chloe glanced at Ava, who gave a slight nod. Chloe then turned back to me. My sister's been having some trouble lately, and she needs a fake boyfriend to deal with our family. She thought about it, and she thinks you're the most suitable person for the job. I was completely floored. A fake boyfriend? Ava Sterling? Needed me? This felt like something out of a bizarre movie. I thought she was here to fire me, and instead, she wants me to pretend to be her boyfriend? Why me? I asked automatically. Ava finally spoke, her voice flat and devoid of emotion. Because you're the last person on earth who would actually fall for me. I froze, a sharp sting in my chest. So that was it. Because she thought a guy like me was so far beneath her, and because she knew I had deceived her, there was zero chance I'd develop any real feelings. It was brutally logical. So what do you say? Are you in? Chloe asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked directly at Ava. Ms. Sterling, can I ask you a question? She raised an eyebrow, signaling for me to go on. Why? Didn't you ask someone else? Like that trust fund kid who was always sending her flowers, or the college boyfriend who was still supposedly trying to win her back. Anyone would be a better choice than me. Ava put down her glass and met my gaze. Because you're easy to control, and I need someone who won't get attached. She said it so bluntly, so cruelly. A bitter smile formed on my lips. The tiny flicker of hope I hadn't even realized was completely extinguished. Of course. Why would she ever be interested in someone like me? Everything that happened online was just an illusion. In the real world, we were from different universes. So yes or no? Ava pressed. I looked at her, and suddenly I remembered the version of her from our online chats. The one who would send me cute emojis, the one who would blush when I said something sweet, the one who would say goodnight and call me babe. Was any of that real, or was it all an act? I was desperately curious to find out. Okay, I said, I'll do it. Ava seemed to relax slightly, though her expression didn't change. You'll be compensated, of course. 3 months, $50,000. After it's over, we're even. Even? Did she mean we were even for this favor or for the whole online romance fiasco? I didn't ask. I knew some questions were better left unasked. Chloe clapped her hands happily. Great. Then it's settled. She pulled out her phone. Let's exchange numbers so we can all stay in touch. I took out my phone and scanned her QR code. After adding her, Chloe said, my grandmother's birthday is next weekend. The whole family's getting together. You'll come with my sister. It'll be your official debut. I nodded. Okay. Ava stood up. I have to go. She picked up her purse and looked at me. We'll discuss the details at the office tomorrow. And with that, she turned and walked out, as decisive and efficient as ever. Chloe winked at me. That's just how my sister is. Don't take it personally. I managed a small smile. I won't. She's actually a really good person, just not great at showing it, Chloe said, then lowered her voice. Hey, do you know who that guy she was talking to online was? My heart lurched, but I kept my face neutral. No idea. My sister was really torn up about it for days, Chloe sighed. It's the first time I've ever seen her care about someone that much. I gripped my glass, my knuckles turning white. Is that so? Yeah, that's probably why she needs a fake boyfriend. To make that jerk jealous, Chloe said indignantly. I mean, scamming her for money is one thing, but then dumping her? That guy has a death wish. I almost choked on my drink. Scamming her for money? Well, had I ever done that? How much money did he take? I asked cautiously. Chloe shook her head. I'm not sure. My sister won't talk about it, but it was a lot. I know she bought him a watch. It was like 15 grand. I froze. When did I ever receive a watch from her? Had she spent money on my burner account? But I never asked for anything. Anyway, enough about that, Chloe said, standing up. I should get going too. See you next week. After she left, I sat alone in the suite, my mind a tangled mess. This was not at all how I expected the night to go. Not only was I not fired, but I was now Ava Sterling's fake boyfriend. And from the sound of it, Ava had actually developed real feelings for my online persona. What the hell was going on? I pulled out my phone and opened the messaging app on my burner account. Ava's message from last night was still there. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Aura, Private Suite 308. We're meeting to talk. If you don't show up, you'll regret it. So, the invitation was for my online persona, not for the real me. Why, then, did she have her sister invite me, the real Leo Carter, to the same place at the same time? Was it a coincidence, or a terrifying thought wormed its way into my brain? What if she'd known all along that I was the person behind the account? I stared at the message, a chill running down my spine. Ava had invited my online persona, but I had shown up as my real self. Was this all a test, or was the game already over? I got home in a daze and barely slept. The next day, I went into the office half an hour early, hoping to avoid Ava. But as soon as I sat down, my desk phone rang. Leo, my office. Now. It was Ava's voice, cold and sharp. I walked in, my head down, and pushed the door closed behind me. I stood in front of her desk, like a prisoner awaiting sentencing. Have you thought about last night? She asked without looking up, her fingers flying across her keyboard. Thought about what? The fake boyfriend arrangement. She finally looked up at me, her gaze piercing. $50,000 for 3 months. Not a bad deal, is it? I clenched my fists. Ms. Sterling, can I ask again why you chose me? I told you yesterday, she said with a raised eyebrow. Because I know you won't get attached. Is that the only reason? What other reason could there be? She scoffed. You think it's because you're so handsome? Her words left me speechless. My grandmother's birthday is this weekend. You're coming home with me. She slid a folder across the desk toward me. This contains all the basic information about my family. Memorize it. Don't screw up. I opened the folder. It was a detailed dossier on every member of the Sterling family, right down to the housekeeper's favorite brand of tea. This is thorough. If you can put on a show, you do it right, she said, standing up and walking around the desk to stand in front of me. She was a good half-foot shorter than me, but her presence was overwhelming. In front of my family, you need to be convincing. Like what? Like, for starters, you can call me Ava. She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a low whisper. Or maybe Ava baby. I caught the scent of her perfume again, the same as in her car. My heart started to beat a little faster. What's the matter? Check out your tongue, she smirked. Ava, I stammered. She nodded, satisfied. Better. Practice it. Then she turned, walked back to her desk, and instantly transformed back into my cold, intimidating boss. You could go now. Close the door on your way out. I escaped, feeling like I'd just been granted a pardon. The next week was torture. By day, Ava ordered me around mercilessly. By night, I had to study her family's dossier. Her family was even more complicated than I'd imagined. Her father was a real estate mogul. Her mother came from a family of academics, and she had an aunt who was married to a politician. It was a tangled web of power and influence. Ava, as the eldest grandchild, had been groomed for success since birth, which explained why, at 30, she was still single and her family was starting to panic. You only need to worry about my parents and my grandmother. Ava texted me. Ignore everyone else. Yes, we had exchange numbers. For work purposes, of course. She sent me instructions in a clipped, professional tone. But every so often, I'd get a message on my burner account. What are you up to? My boss yelled at me again today. I feel awful. Can you talk for a bit? I'd stare at the messages, completely bewildered. What was her game? On one hand, she was threatening me as my boss to be her fake boyfriend. On the other, she was trying to flirt with a non-existent man from her online romance. Was she having a personality crisis? On Friday night, a package arrived for me. I opened it to find a designer suit. The price tag made my hands shake. $5,800. I took a picture and sent it to Ava with a single question mark. She replied instantly, "Wear that tomorrow." It's too expensive. I can't accept this. It's a company expense. Why? Consider it an investment in your image, she texted, adding a sarcastic smiley face. I can't have you meeting my father in a suit from a department store. I had no comeback for that. A moment later, another text came through. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Okay, don't be late. I won't. The conversation was as dry as a business report. I put down my phone and stared at the ridiculously expensive suit, my thoughts in a complete jumble. The next day, Ava's red Porsche was waiting downstairs right on time. I felt incredibly awkward in the new suit, like a kid playing dress-up. She was wearing a Chanel suit, looking every bit the powerful CEO. Get in, she said, glancing at me. Your haircut is terrible. I'll take you to my stylist next week. I silently buckled my seatbelt. The whole way there, she was on the phone, speaking in a dialect I didn't understand. After she hung up, she asked me abruptly, "Have you memorized the file?" More or less. My grandmother has a heart condition. Don't say anything to upset her. Understood. My aunt talks a lot. Say as little as possible to her. Okay. If my brother asks what you do, tell him you make $500,000 a year. I blinked, but I actually make. Do you not know how to lie? She snapped. Don't need to teach you that, too. I shut my mouth. The car turned into a gated community, each mansion more opulent than the last. Finally, she pulled up to a 3-story house with a garden that was bigger than my entire apartment building. We're here. Ava took a deep breath and then suddenly grabbed my hand. I went rigid. Act natural, she whispered. You're my boyfriend now. Her hand was soft and a little cold. My heart pounded against my ribs as she led me out of the car. A middle-aged couple, who I assumed were her parents, were waiting at the door. Ava put on a sweet smile I had never seen before. Dad, Mom, this is Leo. I quickly bowed my head. It's a pleasure to meet you. Ava's mother looked me up and down with a critical eye. Her father, however, was all smiles. Leo, right? Ava talks about you all the time. I glanced at Ava in surprise. She didn't miss a beat. Let's go inside. Grandma's waiting. The living room was full of people, and all of them turned to stare at us as we walked in. My palms began to sweat. Ava squeezed my hand tighter, her nails digging into my skin. Don't be nervous, she hissed. If you mess this up, you know what will happen. The party was even more intimidating than I'd imagined. One by one, her family members interrogated me. What I did for a living, how many people were in my family, what my parents did. I answered every question, just as Ava had coached me. So, Leo, where do you work? Her aunt asked. I'm a project manager at Viridian Tech, I said with a smile. And what's the salary like for that? Around $500,000 a year. Her aunt raised her eyebrows. Oh, not bad at all. Better than our Chloe is doing. Across the table, Chloe winked at me. Ava has a temper. You'll have to be patient with her, Ava's mother said, placing a piece of roast beef on my plate. We spoiled her rotten. Don't worry, Mrs. Sterling. Ava is wonderful. As soon as I said it, I felt Ava kick me under the table. Getting into character, are we? She whispered. Quite the actor. I could only smile grimly. You're the one who told me to do it. After dinner, Ava's grandmother pulled me aside into the study. The old woman had white hair, but her eyes were sharp. Leo, are you truly in love with my Ava? My scalp prickled. Of course. Very much. She acts tough, but she has a soft heart, the grandmother sighed. She got her heart broken a few months ago. Some boy she met online. She was miserable for days. A chill went down my spine. Online. Yes. Bought him a watch, a $15,000 watch. And he turned around and dumped her, she said, shaking her head. Silly girl. I felt like I was sitting on pins and needles. That watch. I had never seen it. Was Ava lying to her family? Don't you worry, ma'am. I'll take good care of her, I said, forcing the words out. Her grandmother nodded, satisfied, and handed me a thick envelope. Take this. We'll expect a wedding invitation soon. I tried to refuse, but she insisted, so I had to take it. When I left the study, Ava was leaning against the wall, waiting for me. Grandma give you an envelope? Yeah. How much? I opened it. A stack of crisp $100 bills. $1,000. Wow, generous, Ava said, snatching the envelope from my hand. I'm confiscating this. Why? That's for her grandson-in-law. Are you? She said with a smirk. I had no reply. On the way home, we were both quiet. As we neared my apartment, she suddenly asked, So, what did you think of my family? They're nice. The truth. A little. Intense. She laughed. Yeah, that's why I needed a fake boyfriend. The car stopped in front of my building. I unbuckled my seatbelt, then hesitated. That watch. What was that about? Her expression immediately hardened. What watch? Your grandmother said you bought a watch for the guy you were talking to online. Ava gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. Get out. Ava. I said get out. On Monday, Ava was even colder than usual. She assigned me tasks with clipped, one-word sentences. I knew she was mad, but I didn't know why. During lunch in the cafeteria, Chloe unexpectedly showed up at my table. Now, thanks so much for Saturday. No problem. My sister got really drunk last night. She was crying, she whispered. I think it was about that online guy. My heart skipped a beat. Why? I don't know. I just heard her muttering something about him being a liar and a cheater. I lost my appetite. That afternoon, on a whim, I logged into my burner account. Ava had sent dozens of messages. Who are you, really? Why did you lie to me? I wanted that watch for myself for so long, but I never bought it. And you took it and gave it to another woman. I stared at the messages, completely lost. Another woman? When had I ever taken a watch from her? Then it hit me. Last week was my sister's birthday. I'd saved up and bought her a nice Longines watch. I had accidentally posted a picture of the receipt to my Instagram story, but deleted it a few minutes later. Had Ava seen it? Did she think I had used her money to buy a gift for another woman? I quickly typed a reply. You misunderstood. The watch was for my sister, but when I hit send, a notification popped up. I had been blocked. Damn it. This was a huge misunderstanding. I decided I had to clear the air with her. I waited for her in the parking garage after work. When she saw me, she immediately turned to walk away. I ran to catch up with her. Ava, can we talk? Talk about what? She said, her voice icy. About how you're a lying, cheating scammer? I didn't scam you. Then what about the watch? I bought that with my own money. I fumbled for my phone. Look, this is my sister. My actual sister. I pulled up a family photo and showed it to her. Ava froze, her angry expression softening slightly. Then why did you dump me? I was afraid you'd find out it was me. So you just ghosted me? Her eyes started to well up with tears. Leo, do you have any idea how I? She didn't finish the sentence. She just turned, got in her car, and drove away. I stood there, a mess of emotions churning inside me. Had she just been about to cry? The untouchable Ava Sterling, crying because of me? The next day, there was a gift box on my desk. Inside was the legendary Patek Philippe watch, easily worth over 15 grand. There was a note with it. For your sister, my apologies. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. That night, my burner account got a new message. It was a new account from Ava. One sentence. Let's meet. Right now. I rushed to the coffee shop she named. She was already there, waiting. She wasn't wearing any makeup, just a simple t-shirt and jeans. She looked like a college student. Sit. She pushed a cup of coffee toward me. Americano. Your favorite. I was touched. You remembered. I remember a lot of things, she said, looking out the window. You like Americanos. You hate cilantro. You're afraid of the dark. And you like to sleep with a pillow to hug. I was stunned. How do you know all that? Your online profile told me, she said, turned to look at me. Leo, let's stop torturing each other. My heart raced. What do you mean? The fake boyfriend act. It's over. She put her coffee cup down. I want the real thing. Histoire de hair. Dom fundo. The real what? The real you. She reached across the table and took my hand. Leo, let's be together. My mind went completely blank. WHY? Because I think I'm falling for you, she said with a self-deprecating smile. For the guy online who would talk to me for hours and make me laugh. And for the guy in the office who works his ass off and never talks back, even when I'm being a monster to him. My throat felt tight. Ava, you need to think about this. I'm thinking perfectly clearly, she said, her eyes boring into mine. Just tell me yes or no. I looked into her eyes and saw a kind of desperate courage I had never seen in her before. This was a completely different person from the Ava Sterling I knew. What if I say no? I asked softly. She let go of my hand, and her cold, boss-like mask slipped back into place. Then tomorrow, you'll hand off your projects to Mark. You'll be terminated. I gave a bitter laugh. Is that a threat? Yes, she admitted without hesitation. Leo, I'll give you 3 seconds to decide. 3, 2. I watched her lips pressed into a thin line, and her fingers, which were trembling slightly. And I suddenly realized she was just as scared as I was. 1. Okay, I said. She blinked. Okay, what? Let's give it a try. Ava and I started dating in secret. No one at the office knew, except for Chloe. She was our biggest cheerleader, constantly sending me embarrassing old photos of her sister. Look at this one from middle school. She was so chubby. This was her first time trying to do her own makeup. She looked like a clown. Ava was so mad, she cut off Chloe's allowance. The Ava I was dating was a completely different person. She'd still yell at me at work, but then she'd secretly order my favorite coffee to be delivered to my desk. She'd still make me work late, but now she'd stay with me. At the end of the quarter, there was a team-building event. I had a little too much to drink and ended up clinging to her. Ava Sterling, I like you. I slurred. My colleagues froze, all of them probably thinking I was about to be fired. But she just smiled and gently stroked my hair. I know, you idiot. The entire room went silent. The next day, the whole office knew we were together. Mark came up to my desk, looking devastated. Leo, my man, you broke my heart. I thought we had something. I bought the whole team coffee to apologize. Ava got jealous. Why did you get him the extra espresso shot? So I had to start bringing her breakfast every morning with an extra egg. 6 months later, I was promoted to department head. The office rumor mill went into overdrive, with everyone saying I was just sleeping my way to the top. At the next all-hands meeting, Ava stood up in front of the entire company and said, Leo's performance and dedication have earned him this position. That night, she pinned me against the wall of our apartment. So, how are you going to thank me? I kissed her. How about with my undying devotion? She blushed beet red. You're so cheesy. But she didn't push me away. At the company's end-of-year party, I got drunk and went on stage to sing karaoke. I was so off-key, it was a crime against music. Ava was in the audience, laughing so hard she had tears streaming down her face, recording the whole thing on her phone. Leo, you're so embarrassing. I leaned into the microphone and yelled, Ava Sterling, I love you. The whole room erupted in cheers. She ran up on stage and snatched the microphone from me. Shut up, you drunk. But we both knew. This time was real. This wasn't an act. Later, I asked her when she first figured out my burner account was me. She said she knew almost from the beginning. The day you posted that picture of your coffee mug, I had IT track the IP address. Then why didn't you call me out on it? I wanted to see what you were trying to pull, she said, glaring at me. And then you had the nerve to dump me. I immediately apologized. I'm sorry, my queen. I was wrong. She huffed, then said quietly, Actually, I'm kind of grateful for that stupid account. Why? Without it, I never would have known how sweet you really are. I blushed. So what was the real story with the watch? I asked, the question that had been bugging me for months. She sighed. It was a birthday present for my dad. He said it was too flashy, so I just made up a story. Then why were you so mad at me? Because I was jealous, she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. I thought you were taking my money to buy gifts for some other woman. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The great Ava Sterling was a jealous girlfriend. That spring, I took her home to meet my mom. My mom absolutely adored her and even gave her the family's heirloom jade bracelet. Ava's eyes filled with tears as she called her mom. On the drive back, she held me tight. Leo, let's get married. I froze. What did you just say? I'm proposing, she said, glaring at me. What? Did you expect me to get down on one knee? I burst out laughing, pulled the car over to the side of the road, and got down on one knee. Ava Sterling, will you marry me? She pouted. Where's the ring? I pulled the tab off my can of soda and held it up. This is a placeholder. She snatched the soda tab from my hand, slipped it on her finger, and started crying and laughing at the same time. I guess this will have to do. She still complains about how cheap my proposal was. But she keeps that soda can tab in her jewelry box, a symbol of our love. It started with a lie, but ended with the truth. End.